Now, in breaking news, I can reveal that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his senior ministers are locked in bunker room urgent national security talks. We can presume this is finalising Israel's strike against Iran after it launched 200 missiles against Israel last week. Now, some Israeli politicians are urging for a strike on Iran's nuclear sites, like Sharon Haskell, who'll join me live here in a moment. But others, like my next guest, former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert, don't agree. Olmert is a fierce rival of Netanyahu's. He was Israel's 12th Prime Minister from 2006 to 2009, including during the Second Lebanon War. And here's what he had to say. How do you see this war playing out?
I think that it's about time to end it. I think that Israel did a great deal in breaking down the Hamas military power. We destroyed most of the tunnels that were underground in different parts of the city. We destroyed most of their military units. Perhaps there are still here and there a few Hamas fighters, but by and large, I think to the extent that you can destroy a terrorist organization hiding in the center of town with the civilian population and in tunnels without any identified characteristics that can distinguish them from the population, I think we've done everything that we can do militarily, and now the main thing is to bring back the hostages.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, Mr. Olmert. Can the war end until the hostages are home?
If we will not agree to end the war, we will not have the hostages.
You think they can only come home through a negotiated
Absolutely.
ceasefire?
Absolutely.
No.
To look at it from the point of view of Sinwar. He's a murderer, I hate him as everyone hates him. But do you expect him to agree to return back the hostages before he gets what he thinks is the best for him?
But doesn't that leave him in power and in control?
No, I don't think so. I think that, number one, I think that at this point, the loss of tens of thousands of his people, the loss of almost all of his weapons, the loss of almost all of his tunnels, the infrastructure, everything that they built for years and years and years, I think has weakened him dramatically. If he's still alive, by the way, which I'm not certain about.
Oh, you think he could be dead?
Yeah.
Israeli intelligence must know the answer to that.
Yeah, but Israeli intelligence doesn't know the answer, which means that they haven't tracked him for the last few weeks, and he hasn't shown any signs of living.
But your confidential sources tell you that he could be dead?
He could be dead.
And there has been no sign of him for the past few weeks?
We don't know for sure, but he could be dead.
Amazing. That's incredible.
And so I think that is what we can achieve in a military operation, and it doesn't bring the hostages back. So we need to do something extraordinary, and the only thing extraordinary now is to end the war and bring them back.
What about Hezbollah on the north, though? They're not defeated yet, so shouldn't that military campaign continue?
Question is, up to where? The main thing that we have to answer ourselves, first of all, is what is the strategy? So you have to think of an arrangement, a diplomatic process possibly, that will allow them to pull out away from the border, to across the Litani River and furthermore, and that will allow us to bring back the people living in the north to their homes.
We're expecting to see imminently an Israeli retaliation strike on Iran. Do you agree with that?
The Israeli retaliation in Iran is inevitable. It's as simple as that. Iran has attacked Israel with approximately 200 ballistic missiles last week. This is not something that in the context of the Middle East, in the framework of the principles that characterize the Middle East. Not answering that will be inevitably perceived by the Iranians to be a show of weakness, which may trigger more attacks on the State of Israel.
I'd like to ask you about the United States. We've got an election coming up. There have been concerns in the Jewish community that Kamala Harris might not be great for Israel. Do you have a view on this?
I haven't seen any indication as of yet that she will not be good for Israel.
Okay. In Australia, while we're on international politics, in Australia the Albanese government has been fairly hostile to Israel over the past year in particular. You know, how much of a betrayal is this?
Look, I'm not familiar with the specifics of the Australian policy and whatever statements may have been made by the Prime Minister or the senior ministers. Australia used to be traditionally a great friend of Israel.
It was indeed.
You know, all of the Prime Ministers that I worked with and I knew were very friendly to Israel. John Howard, I remember him,
yes,
was a great friend of Israel. I think that Tony Abbott was, Mr. Turnbull was Julia
Gillard. Virtually every Prime Minister has been up until this one. Virtually.
So I hope that he will change his attitude.
Ehud Olmert, really appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.